Okay, think about what you do about poverty, inequality. That's a hard one. Yeah, it's a hard one. Anybody have any ideas about that?
Maybe donate, like have people donate more.
To ask for donations?
Yeah, like the people who earn more.
What do you think about like more taxes on people who have money?
Higher tax.
That's all for the top 10% of the, at least in America, the top 10% of the highly compensated individuals bracket pay the vast majority of the funds that the government gets in taxes. I mean, the rich people, despite the fact that they are getting, they have lower percentages of their wealth that they have to pay in tax, but they're paying more anyway. Because these days, I believe only around 50% of the country in America, I'm sorry, that's all I know about America, but pays taxes. So really, taxing the rich is, I mean, the rich people aren't just born rich. A lot of them work very hard. Some of them even come from poverty. So where's the fairness in taking away what they've worked hard to earn to give to people that in a lot of cases simply haven't worked hard enough or just haven't earned? I mean, some people are poor because of bad circumstances or lack of opportunity, but a lot of people are poor just because they didn't have what it took to succeed, or they were just lazy.
It's fairly easy for you to say that because you all come from families that had advantages to start with. I mean, you get to go to private school.
My father came from Shanghai, and during the Cultural Revolution, he came to America with nothing, and now he's successful. Is it fair that we should tax him more because maybe to pay for everyone else? I mean, I think charities are a wonderful thing, and I think poverty is a problem. But making it mandatory to pay for these things is something I don't think is right. I mean, maybe you should. I think this is why we have public charities and we have awareness campaigns, so people can donate because they believe it's the right thing to do, not because the government says you have to.
So you would rely on volunteer donations?
Yeah, I mean, I probably if I wanted to deal with poverty, I'd just work on raising awareness to poverty and inequality rather than trying to force people to donate. Because if in an ideal world, which we do not live in, but you know, you can always dream, if people would be aware of the issue, they would pay the same or if not more money, simply because they understand that it's the right thing to do and it's an issue.
So you have faith in human nature?
Yeah.
Anybody else have any ideas about that? Any girls? What about global warming? Are you concerned about the future of the planet, or you think that it's not a big deal?
Very.
And what would you like to see happen to correct the problem?
More people actually caring about the problem instead of just ignoring the fact that there's something really wrong. Some are like where we live and thinking that other people will sort the problem out without them, and then they can just live on like how they lived before.
And in school, do you learn about global warming and climate change and pollution? You probably do, huh?
Not so much.
No?
No.
That's interesting. Does the school recycle or do anything that's...
Yeah, they have recycling classes.
So, any ideas about correcting climate change besides educating people?
Stop the companies from making plastic bags, maybe, because...
Some states in the U.S. are outlawing plastic bags. You have to bring your own bags or paper bags. That's an easy solution. It's a good start. Yeah. This is another question. Do you think that your generation has a different perspective than your parents' generation, or do you think that you're pretty much like they were when they were teens?
I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but I'd say that we do have a somewhat different perspective because a lot of our parents and grandparents have lived through many wars and the Cold War and the whole era of international tension. And these days, I think the world is a lot more free and open, and also we are probably one of the first generations to really have entirely lived in the technology age. I mean, this is really the advent of computing technology, and like MacBooks, the degree to which we've integrated technology into our schools and lifestyles is entirely unheard of for my parents' generation as they were kids. So I think that, and also the internet and just the ease of communication really affects our perspective on the world. It's a much smaller world.
So you're a more global generation. Do you go back to the Netherlands to visit? And what do you hear there in terms of what young people are thinking about? Are they just thinking about who's wearing what clothes and who's going out with who, or what kind of issues do they have on their mind?
I think it's kind of the same as here. Like, people talking about, like, oh, you're going out with that person. But their parents, like, they're not as strict about grades. Like, they tell their kids to try hard. But it's not like, oh, you got below a 90, you're grounded or something. The parents, like, they make their kids try. But when they fail, like, once in a while, it's not the end of the world. So.
And what about the immigration issue? Because that seems to be a big issue for European youth and concern about immigrants, like from Bosnia and Turkey and stuff.
I don't know a lot about that, but I know there's a lot of immigrants from Morocco and, like, Turkey in the Netherlands. But I haven't really heard a lot about that issue. So.
Okay. So, what do you hear about the Taiwan-China split? Those of you who are Taiwanese. Some of the Chinese young people that answered my survey said they really want to unify China and Taiwan. How do you guys feel about that? You two are from Taiwan, right? No. You were from Taiwan. Okay, so you get to answer the question.
I don't know, I agree and also disagree because, like,
where do you think Taiwan belongs? As independent or as part of the mainland?
I think it can be by itself, but, like, a lot of, like, China actually supports a lot of the stuff. I mean, like,
So, in a nutshell, do you think that Taiwan should be part of China or stay the way it is?
I think it should stay the way it is, because I think it's good now. Like,
Who else was from Taiwan? And do you think that, where do you stand on unification?
Like, I think neutral, because if we unify, it'll be the best, but then if, like, the two countries come into one and still have war with each other, we might China might as well just separate with Taiwan instead of forcing them to, like, become part of China.
So you want whatever's peaceful.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about how Hong Kong was brought back into the mainland, but it still kind of has separate status, is that right?
Yeah.
You can talk, it's fine.
I've read some history about how Taiwan was formed, and it's definitely a very different kind of political system than China. I mean, China's become far more democratic over the years, but nonetheless, I think Taiwan was basically born out of a conflict with China. It'd be kind of strange if they were reunited, whereas Hong Kong was split from China because of Britain's role in the Opium Wars. But if they were to unify, which I think given more time, would be good. I think it should probably be like Hong Kong, as you mentioned earlier, and they should retain some amount of autonomy, but still be part of China.
The Taiwanese probably wouldn't agree, but the mainland probably would. Do you think so?
Yeah.
What do you notice about the living in a country where the Communist Party is the only party? Do you feel the presence? Do you feel that it's autocratic, or has it loosened up so much that it's not even, you don't even feel that you live in a one-party state?
I don't really feel anything.
Pardon?
I think I don't really feel anything.
Well, I guess you can feel it sometimes. Like sometimes if my parents are watching the news, then all of a sudden it's just blocked for like 10 minutes, or Google's blocked or something, and it's kind of annoying. That's like the time that you feel that you're in a communist country.
Someone said that that Facebook and YouTube is blocked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Google this.
People use
Google is
Google
blocked
too.
sometimes.
Google is blocked.